Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, can you hear me? I hear you.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, we are all in, right?
Okay, we're not in, right? I no longer see you, but I hear you.
Oh, you can't see me?
Oh, you can't see me? I did for a little while, then you disappeared, but I hear you, so that's all that counts.
Can I make any bigger of this?
Okay, finally I'm in. I'm having some technical issues. Sorry, Paul. Sorry about that. Hello? Hello?
Crickets in here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, can you hear me? I hear you.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. So
So,
so basically the brand is there.
basically, brand is there.
Jeffrey, Sandra, Vince. A brand mate is coming in, or is it there already?
Brand is coming in. There's a lot of people in here I don't recognize.
Okay, let's. Is it okay if I
Let's,
go ahead and start?
okay, if I go ahead and start. It's a good question. Is there a chairman or somebody who is in charge of the committee?
That's what I'm looking at, like Brian, if he has any inputs there, or otherwise I'm going to start off.
Yeah, let's just start.
Okay.
I got 1 hour, so.
Yeah, I know. Okay, sounds good. Basically, this is kind of workshop, and everyone can express their views freely. This is a new undertaking by the CDD. So just to create our goals for the food and beverage committee is to bring the structure, transparency, and accountability to this operation, ensuring it truly serves our residents and as well as
Hey,
sustainable in
Sam.
the. Hello?
Sam, can I interrupt for just a second?
Can I
Um,
interrupt for just a second?
We're getting feedback. Albert,
We're getting
can you
feedback.
possibly
Albert,
mute?
Can you possibly?
We're hearing echoes until you're ready to speak. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry, Sam, go ahead.
Happens. How about
Yeah,
now?
now's great. It's fine with me. Is
Perfect.
everybody else okay? I was just getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I know, me too, but I don't know who is having it, so I don't want to disrupt the whole meeting. So yeah, okay, yeah, good. So basically, as the goal is to because this is a new undertake, so we just wanted to make sure that the FNB committee is going to bring some structure and transparency and accountability to this operation, ensuring it truly serves our residents and it is sustainable in a longer run. Um, so um, the goal is to keep our discussion open and collaborative, uh, primarily focusing on defining what information that we need and start shaping the framework, how we will measure the performance and report back to the board. And also, this is to create a kind of groundwork phase, and every question we raise tonight helps to build that foundation. So I looked at, if I may, I looked at some of the information that is shared by the Joe, um, especially the FNB agreements and all. So I would like to know, because it is a CDD undertaking, and the Artemis is primarily the managing the restaurant. Uh, in this kind of a scenario, who will be responsible and who is going to oversight the agreements? They had agreements for various things like the beverages and as well as for some of the artifacts, um, and also the food. They already created or discussing, or I don't know exactly, because the draft, it says whatever the Joe shared with me looks like they went ahead and signed up. Is that a fair understanding, Joe?
Yeah, no. So everything that we're preparing
Mm-hmm.
is going to require sign off by the CDD. So
Okay.
nothing's going to be Artemis. We are not capable of making a deal that does not include the CDD putting. It'll probably be Brian, but putting their name to it.
So when you say that, so you already kind of shortlisted the people that you would like to have agreements with,
I'm
because
sorry, what was that?
you listed some of the names in the agreement, right? In the document. So those are the people you guys finalized, or are there any other quotations that you're receiving comparatively to comparative analysis purposes?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, I don't want to speak over what kind of Greg's kind of done in the, in the background. Unfortunately, he was unable to attend today. He's had a loss in his immediate family. So it's my understanding, and from the proposal that he prepared, it's all very plug and play. So, for example, if you guys sit there and say, he's selected one vendor because he believes over, maybe Cheney Brothers, that they have a greater selection. If you say, well, I mean, we've got time before January 1st, we'd like to see who's going to give us the better deal, we would certainly go back and go to bat and really kind of see what those numbers end up being. So I just want all of this is very interchangeable, the same as the menu. It all really just comes down to what the CDD ultimately says, hey, this is what we should do, based off of, again, the guidance they're getting from this committee.
Yeah. Um, when it comes to, I mean, like in the same line, when it comes to POS systems, the toast is fantastic, no doubt on that. Have you guys have you done any comparative analysis in terms of Square POS or something like that, which is also kind of competitive uh, with respect to toast? Well, of course, I've seen restaurants both use, especially small cafes uses the Square POS a lot, but toast is primarily for a heavy duty, a lot of big restaurants on that kind of a stuff. Of course, when it comes to cost analysis, the toast is a little bit more expensive in terms of setup cost and even a reporting cost and all those things. POS is damn cheap, but at the same time, um, toast interface is very user friendly, without a doubt. In fact, the toast interface you can, if any CDD member in the future would like to see, or the board would like to see, they can. The toast the main user can give access to the any of the assigned board member or anyone. You know, there is a good interface for that. But Square POS has similar, but it has some limitations. But in terms of the cost, because our KF is small generally, I mean, like relatively speaking, have you guys done any comparative analysis between Toast and Square POS or any other POS system?
Sandra,
Sorry,
you're
I was
muted,
I
sorry.
was on mute. Sorry about that. Um, yes, Greg has looked into other POS systems. I believe he mentioned in the last CDD meeting that another one that he had looked into, did a lot of comparison. He has actually worked with both of them. The other one, if the Wi-Fi, the internet goes down, so does the system. Toast can operate independently without the internet. So in his experience using the other system, you can have a lot of revenue loss because if you don't have an ATM machine there on site, they go off site to get cash. Well, they never come back to the restaurant to pay for food because they just get something as they're out. And he mentioned a third one too. It might have been Square, Sam. So he has looked into several POS systems.
Yeah, one is a Toast and Square POS, and the other one that, I mean, in my experience, we have used Clover POS. That is also Clover. It's like a leaf symbol. It also used by, um, you know, mostly like a lot of people, but it is expensive compared with the Toast. Certainly, uh, not so expensive, but it is kind of expensive than Square POS. But yeah, Toast and Clover are for larger, like larger restaurants. So they both compete with each other in terms of the market share. However, the fee is, for example, like monthly software cost per station is higher with Toast compared with Clover. So I'm not going either way. I'm just giving for a discussion purposes, because for
Sure.
the Clover charges like 150 per month for additional station, whereas the Toast charges 165. It's like $50 or more.
Okay.
And also, uh, the Toast has a lot of setup costs. I think if you guys ultimately decide to go with Toast, if board decide to go with the Toast, I would definitely encourage whatever the maximum that you can negotiate with them in terms of the upfront cost, like setup cost, number one. Number two is reporting cost. If you look at the proposal that Joe shared with us, they're charging for the reports also. That is something, if we go back and negotiate, usually they are okay to kind of take off, give us like 6 months break or something of like that. Because obviously they charge for the setup fee, they charge for the stations, also they charge the transaction fee, which is about 2.49% plus 15 cents. And additional to all of these things, again, they are also going to charge us the reports. I think that is something you have a negotiation room. If you can kindly go back and check with them, hey, come on, man, just can be, because report costs are going to be the very consistent cost for us every month. And also, if we randomly ask like a quarterly report, they also charge that. If we don't want the reports at all, it is a user friendly. Greg, Joe, or anyone who is responsible at that role, they can actually take the reports from the system itself. It's a very user friendly system. You can do that too. So I'm just saying that where there is a room where we can save some $100 a month, it's still a good amount of saving if you aggregate it for a whole year.
So
Yeah.
I would like to see the differences between all of these, because I know, like, to dismiss any one product out of hand just because the product doesn't work over a down internet, well, that's a less than $60-$70 a month solution to get a redundant internet that we should probably have anyway. And I think it would be fun to review a comparison, but because this is probably the most important decision that has to be made. It's going to be a tremendous investment to get it set up. It's going to be a tremendous investment every transaction, and to just unless our vendor only has experience with one and that's all he can do, I guess maybe that would be a good reason we could only just look at one. But I think it would be smart for us as a committee to look at this and see what the differences are. And I kind of dismissed the internet thing because as an IT guy, I know how to set up redundant internet. Like I say, we should probably have that anyway.
Yeah, you're absolutely, Albert, you're right. Like, because these systems like Square POS, they have an inbuilt thing. So what they send is they send it to the closest base station, and base station keeps up to like a few hours of data, at least a couple of hours of data. It won't lose. Even if there is a transaction comes, it will keep it in the base station. Yeah, if you have redundancy, that issue will never occur for us, like not having internet. Anyway, I think the good internet we are installing, Joe, right? Hopefully, we're going to have a good internet system. All the
Yes, sir.
I think,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the other thing is that, like, about the Joe, I'm kind of texted you earlier. I'm trying fully transparent with you in terms of Greg. Of course, I don't have authority to do the background check, but however, we kind of called the best. What is it? I don't know. My secretary had that name. He worked as a bartender there, not as a full manager, though. Is that a correct understanding? I don't think he ever ran a full F&B. He worked as a bartender there, and he worked for like a year or so, not at a capacity of F&B manager. I'm not discounting his any of those skills, but what I'm saying is in the observation, that's what we have seen. If he after coming here, if he excel, that's wonderful. But I understand when you said that you cannot really share the background check, which is kind of understandable. I'm going to check with the attorney as well to see, but some of the experiences doesn't exactly reflect what he presented. But I can fully discuss on those things once I have have email information from the folks that we reached out about him, about the Greg.
Yeah. And again, as far as our company is concerned, when we speak with the directors and the HR managers of these companies, which are the official record, when they provide us and they say, this individual has worked for us for 5 years. They started as bartender, worked as bar supervisor, bar manager, moved to canteen supervisor, assistant food and bev, and then ended as food and bev manager. They are rehirable, and they indicated that he worked at Windsor West Side, Windsor Island, and then obviously did a training period because Windsor K is not open yet, and then did training for the group there. For our standpoint, the HR's position and then the references that we, called in on, they were nothing but positive. And again, that's the official record. So, I understand that there's been some conversations. I've spoken to someone else who had a conversation, but again, for us, that's rumors, conjecture, because again, we have no reason to believe otherwise. He's jumped in. He offered to be on today despite what he's going through. We said, don't worry about it. You need to be there for your family. So again, from our position, and then looking at his previous positions, there's nothing irregular about his resume that we've run into speaking directly across HR to HR.
Okay. I mean, as long as the services that were presented, if he renders, that's good. The challenge which comes is as I said, as we are all discussing from the previous the board meeting also, because it is a starting, so we just want to make sure that the people who are handling this have a good handle on the things. They know what they're doing. They're not experimenting with us, because we should not experiment too much for the first year. We just need to kind of do what can work, what should work, and then take it slowly, step by step, to adding anything or deleting anything. That's the best way to go, because yes, everyone has all good intentions, and everyone wanted to do a fantastic job and all. However, the restaurant is a very volatile business, right? So and also, if something goes wrong, people only pick at that wrong thing, like, hey, the food is bad, that's it. We discovered something in the food, and that goes on for a couple of months. People get people step back. So we just wanted to make sure that it doesn't matter if he has a good intentions and really a hardworking chap, and he really want to put his sweat into it and build it. That's really great. But of course, in my observation rather, there are certain things didn't come out. But once again, I don't have 100% email proof that this is what it is. Without the proof, I just don't want it to state what I heard. But there are some shortcomings. But if you say that your HR is super confident about it, and all everyone else excited about him, and so be it, right? We'll give it a shot and then see where it goes from here. Okay,
Yeah,
so
and again, and
yeah.
ultimately on that,
Okay.
let me just say one thing. And ultimately on that, the CDD is fully in the driver's seat as it relates to things. So again, Greg does have experience with a number of POS systems and things like that. So very similar to that, but also to the other points. If the board ultimately decides that Toast is not for them, that it's something else, it'll be his job to pivot and basically say, okay, if I don't know as much about this one, well, I need to learn, and I need to spend time outside of it learning, because that is the expectation of him in that role. So, and I do think I definitely think he's up for that. So I just want you guys to obviously know, yeah, you're definitely in the driver's seat on this. And when it comes to, you don't want there to be too much change, you are the barometer of that. So we're certainly there to support you on that.
Yeah, okay. And when it comes to the POS system, besides the cafe, is there any other POS system we are using for other amenities center?
I mean, we use Square frequently
Yeah.
across amenity centers and stuff, and then obviously Toast is a pretty big one. I don't know, Sandra, do we know what Kindred's using? Are they using anything different than we would?
I believe they're using Square.
Okay. And Kindred's very large too, so I mean, I guess that's probably putting Square to its limits, but I mean, there's certainly, yeah, so.
Yeah. Albert, you're saying something? Sorry, we missed it.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to reiterate what you just said. I heard the same rumors that perhaps Greg didn't have the level of credentials that he claimed, and we have to trust the vendor. But I was just curious. I mean, Sam, apparently somebody asked for the background check, but I don't know if that's the right thing. But is there anything, if we're going to go to the board and say, you know what, we vetted this, we looked at it, he truly has the credentials that he says he has, is there anything you can think of that would allow us as this committee to do our due diligence beyond just, yeah, we have a lot of faith in our HR department thoroughly did this, in quotes. What that would look like, I don't know what it is, but I would like to see that, right? That makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, like another fair point, obviously. But for that, I think Joe, I think that is your. I know you told before. Maybe you need to reiterate that whatever you um, pointed out earlier about the Greg's experience.
Yeah, and again, I mean, the responsibility, and the onus, through a contract is for the vendor to find and provide somebody that is capable for the job. So obviously, we're the ones that are um, putting our name on the line and kind of backing this candidate. And again, we do very much trust our HR department. And then again, in having conversations with some individuals on this, we circled back, had those combos again specifically. Um, and again, I have found no reason to believe that there's any issue there. So again, I mean, we did it with each of the candidates. There were candidates that were more qualified than Greg, but in terms of time in the business, in terms of experience, that had a great deal more. But they did not, in our opinion, meet kind of the specific challenges and areas that it seemed like the CDD, wanted to hit in terms of this. So, we feel very confident in Greg, and obviously, I wish he could be here, kind of, you know, not tooting his own horn here, but obviously speaking to some of these things that you're, talking about in terms of the POS, because I'm a poor substitute for him
No,
not being an F&B supervisor
no, no,
myself.
no.
But
Uh,
um,
Joe, this is only workshop, so don't worry. I mean, like,
right,
so
no,
basically, we're not really kind of, challenging anything. It's just to have a fair conversation about, like, some of the aspects, doubts, and also the inputs mostly, anyone
right.
that can pour in here. And I know he presented some the ideas there, like from. I know he's not there, but would you like to kind of explain or like just briefly go over some of the ideas that he presented, or you want to wait until like next time when he's here?
I would feel more, yeah, I would feel more comfortable him kind of, presenting, because I think you guys are probably going to have a good, rap session off one another, having, experience in the industry. I think you're probably going to vibe more, and be able to see kind of what it is he's talking about. I saw the shark thing, thought it was pretty cool, but I was like, I don't really see how it fits the vibe. So, I like the cool cups and stuff they were doing. But yeah, otherwise I would prefer to leave it to him, whether that's in a direct CDD meeting where you guys are questioning and kind of talking, or if it's in the next one of these. And if, in terms of timing, um, if you guys wanted a faster turnaround, I know there still has to be a notice, but a faster turnaround on the next meeting so that we could get Greg in here to answer some of those questions, we would be certainly happy to make that happen.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. At least we have two meetings
Yeah,
before
that
the
would be a
January.
great idea.
At least we have two meetings before the January.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're right. The other,
Yeah,
right,
I agree. I don't want to
the
get too
other-
tactical today. I think we need to be more strategic, and that's looking at uh personnel. Are we getting our licenses? All that kind of stuff. I don't know if we're even ready to start talking about menus, cups, and all that other kind of thing.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Albert, 100% on it. So going back to a nice segue, Joe, like, where do we stand? I know that when it comes to the facility, I think you're still having a little bit of a challenges, right? Because of the old application still lingering with the state for the
Yeah, so
restaurant licensing.
Yeah, so we did get access to that. That was actually, it was originally filed in 2017, so it took a bit to try to weasel through and get access to that. So we did get access to that application. Really the only, well, knock on wood, the only portion that is left to do, which we did meet with the architect today. They sent out an architect to basically confirm seating. They wanted to look at number of loungers, cabana seating, look at the actual space, make sure there hadn't been any changes to the space, because again, they've got, layouts from 2012 and then 2017. He will draft that this weekend. We actually asked him to, put a step on it because we gave him the time. So he's going to draft that this weekend. We'll attach that to the applications and get it through. And then at that point, we're more or less just kind of at the mercy of Tallahassee on that. We will have more or less completed all of our parts.
There is a conversation happened about some kind of a changes to the layout, the structurally speaking. Is that true for the restaurant?
Have there been changes to it, you're saying?
No, there is a proposal of changes to adding some additional space or like, making some structural, small changes, obviously. Is that is that true? Like, is bound to happen, or you guys are not doing anything at this point until you get the restaurant license?
Yeah, I don't think we're really, we've not touched on, I mean, there've been a lot of ideas and stuff thrown at it, but I don't think we've wanted to really rock that boat until we got, this type of stuff taken care of. So,
I would strongly advise not to do that, especially when there is an
yeah,
application 2017 which is out there, and then now you go with a different one. The state gives you a lot of lot of runaround, to be honest. So, uh, being said that, like, after the engineer can approve or like lays out whatever it is, uh, are you confident that within 2 months we're gonna get the license?
yeah. So our conversations with liquor license professionals, who's a consultant on this, and he he kept saying, and everybody kept saying, do you want to try to get this done sooner, in terms of kicking off the contract? And we said no. We said the board wants it, January 1st to hold out that time. Even if we got it sooner, we would still Jan 1st, because we want to make sure that we're where we need to be, and that we don't overpromise on something and then fall into a weird position. So no, we feel confident. I mean, again, they're still kind of targeting, once we get that back, they're talking about the licenses kind of coming in. What was it, Sandra? Was it mid-November?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
mid-November.
are
The
two
restaurant will
inspections
come
happen.
faster, but yeah,
Nah,
exactly.
they'll
Hey
do
guys,
two
I'm finally
inspections.
on the call.
Hey, Debbie.
Hey, sorry I'm late. Had to
So,
shut down the surgery center.
Joe, in terms of the inspections, right? Like, does the when you applied for the licensing, have they given you the schedule as such? Uh, because to my understanding, they do two inspections at least minimum. One is for that cold storage unit. The other one is for the equipment, the outside equipment, and also the facility. Usually, when they do the outside equipment, they also do the facilities inspection. Have they given you any schedule yet or no? Or you're not there yet?
No, we're not there yet. The biggest thing they wanted to do is they basically said, hey guys, if you wouldn't mind, spending the money, we'd like to fast track the architect in to make sure you got, which, I mean, we know we have the seating, but they want to get it on the map, or excuse me, on the plans. And then that way we have it for the future too, like you were talking about. So, you would want to try to avoid any permanent changes anytime soon. But yeah, that was the first part of it. And then, yeah, throughout, they'll come and do their inspections. Greg was pretty familiar with that process. Once they provide us with some information, I'd be happy to pass it along to you all in email in terms of what those dates are going to be.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. Okay, so anyone else has any questions at this point?
What are the highlights? What did I
So
miss?
I appreciate.
Highlights. What did I miss?
Well, I appreciate that we discussed the licenses and the timeline. I guess again, just like with the Greg discussion, is there any way we can verify what's moving forward or whatever? Is there any way for us to get our eyes on something that says, yep, here it is, or this is the progress we're making? I've got the document that mentions the consulting firms, but I don't have any.
Yeah, I think Albert.
Yeah, looks like.
I think Albert. When it comes to what Joe mentioned, for the restaurant licensing, we are still at the inception, because if the architect came today, which means that they have to do the report first, they need to attach that report with the licensing application, and then the application will go. that is a first step. I think they are still there. Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's going to go next week. The restaurant licensing along with the architectural report, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
So, yeah, Albert, if I may, generally speaking, the workflow is once that report, along with that report, the whole application will go. There is a little bit of a background check on who is applying and whatnot. Um, and then it'll take like at least like 14 days. They say 14 days, but that's a bulk load of crap. But it's like 3 weeks. Like 3 weeks, and then they'll after the 3 weeks they'll have an initial notification email sent to Artemis or CDD, whoever is responsible at that point of time, stating that hey, we will be the first inspector will be coming to see the facility. The first inspector comes only as a brief, like they look at everything. uh, Sometimes they take the measurements, sometimes they don't, and they look at the brief look at the equipment and all, but they don't really check the cold storage yet. The next second inspection they look at other things, like they also look at the, by the way, um, the power load, also the electric load. I don't know whether that's the way they do it here or not, because they want to make sure that how the earthing and everything is done there, because there is also inspection. There'll be multiple inspections happens, but one guy typically, the first guy who comes, he'll give a quick report back to the licensing agency, or sorry, licensing department. Yeah, considering the holidays, I don't know, but maybe Joe can kind of work with the agency to kind of make them fast, because between the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, they work very, very slow, Joe. I'm letting you know. It's not going to be easy to work with them, because today is in architecture, coming today or yesterday, whenever the person came. And I don't think you have the report yet, right, from him or her?
No, they're going to work over the weekend
No, I
to
know.
produce
Yeah,
it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's what I thought. So it will be next week. So when you put it in the next week, it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks from there onward. So I would definitely encourage, if I don't know if someone else has any other advice or suggestion, to expedite the application. Otherwise, January 1st will be you're getting very close.
So,
At least
so Sam,
from my
by
experience.
the timeline you
Yeah.
just laid out,
From my experience.
yeah, you laid out, we should, as a committee, be patient till January 1. Is that accurate?
As is, I think once the application goes in, then we know.
Once the application goes in, then we know.
Because the clock starts from the day that they receive the application, they stamp on it. From that day, the countdown starts. If that is of any, is that what you're asking, Albert?
Is that what you're asking, Albert?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. We need to be on top of what's going on, right? That's our job. And you laid out a process, and that's great. And I'm gonna assume it's accurate because you know more about it than I do. And I just want to make sure that I have it in my head what this process looks like in a timeline specifically, so that we get to the next meeting, we don't go over the same information. We go, all right, here's what should have been done. Did it get done? And then are we still on track for what we think is going to be a reasonable amount of time, January 1? That's kind of what I want to get laid out, understood, so that when we get to the next meeting, like I say, we're not just rehashing the same story, because I could easily do that, right? I don't remember all this stuff. I'm not going to remember it 30 days from now. But if we can put something concrete down and go, all right, this is what we expect to have done in 30 days, and we get there and we review it, right? So, like I say, I don't have an idea what the timeline really needs to be, but I do know that if you lay something out and we write it down and we go 30 days from now, and we go, all right, this is what we said we'd have done, then I can go and that I can do.
Yeah, kind of milestones, right? Joe, any input there? I think that's a fair, as a fair, suggestion. In terms of like, having a understanding of like timeline. If you're sure that next week the application can go or not, like, how long that the process itself is going to take, at least the submission of the application. I don't think we are there yet.
Yeah, no, and again, yeah, we have no problem in having LLP, break it out and basically say, now that this is in, here is your expected timeline, and then, if we need to, we can. I mean, we're obviously going to be hounding the crap out of them, but in terms of however you wish, if you want weekly updates in terms of what milestone have we reached, it's just going to basically depend on, like you said, if it's a 3 week, they may say, we told you we sent it off, this is where we're at, and then what are we doing kind of in the meantime? But yeah, we'll definitely stay on top, and like I said, we can keep you guys all abreast of where we're at.
Yeah, that would be great. Like, every committee meeting or like every board meeting, if you can kind of, every committee meeting or like every board meeting, if you can kind of,
I would say I'm less concerned about an ongoing update than I am about, all right, Al, when we talk again in 30 days, this is what we have to have done. And at that 30-day point, we go, all right, did you get this done? That's what I'd like to get done in the next 19 minutes, if we can.
Okay. I think, Joe, basically as soon as you can get some architectural report next week, please request them to kind of like, boss, we need it, get this done. You already told they're working over the weekend. If they can kindly give you guys on Monday or Tuesday, you can kind of like, push it through to the application. I'm assuming the LLP people already ready with their side of the angle. They just need to add this, the architectural information, the layout, the exit and entry points, and where the, whatever the pipes are there, and all those, everything that need to be properly laid out in the report. So at that time, probably you can shoot an email to the board and the committee, whoever is involved. Hey, it is done. We send the application. That is the first milestone. I think the sooner we reach, the better we're going to be. Otherwise, we will be cutting thin for the January 1st. Okay.
Yeah, no, we can definitely do
that. Anyone else have any suggestions? Debbie, that is what we discussed so far, like, more or less, just to fill you in.
Gotcha, thank you. Sorry, I joined in like late. As I said, I had to shut down the surgery center. It was a long day.
Yeah, I understand. No worry. I mean, like, yeah, anyone else have any suggestions, advices, ideas which can help Joe and Artemis to kind of like, any input that kind of fasten the process? Okay, if no one has any suggestions, Joe, you can kind of wrap it up with some kind of conclusion. Alberts, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna ask the question that I always ask at the end of a meeting. Is there anything we should have asked you guys that we need to know, or that would make us smarter to be able to do this job better?
No, I mean, you're asking it. No, I mean, you're asking it. No, sorry about that. There's a little bit of reverb. No, I think, sorry, for the most part, obviously, the community and yourselves, you're all business owners and high level professionals. So, we're not, I don't stand on ego. So clearly if, you have suggestions, or you're saying, hey, I talked about, I know we talked about this, but this kind of came up after the fact, please do email me. And just say, I feel like this could be a way to kind of expedite whatever you're doing, whether it's the licenses or whether it's anything that we're kind of dealing with. Because again, our experiences are all so varied. My background is just real estate, and then community association management. So, when it comes to F&B, I'm learning very quickly. Obviously, I'm waiting for Greg to get back here, and we've got some of our team at at Artemis, doing that. But obviously, Sam, some of what you've said, extremely educational, and I think that it just kind of helps us because in going to LLP and saying, guys, are we going to make this deadline? And they say, oh, we're very confident. Well, that may be the case, but with what you're saying, it kind of gives us that ability to go back and say, right, but here are some of the concerns in terms of seasonal issues. We really need you to push pedal to the metal on this and just kind of move ass on this. And so, sorry, but it's just what we need. So that's
Yeah.
all very helpful. So I think just the honesty.
Yeah, especially the holidays are going to really dampen the speed. So yeah, having that conversation really helpful. So I think from the company's point of view today, we discussed two things. Just to wrap up, we discussed about the POS system. I think the toast is definitely, as yesterday also in town hall, a lot of positive feedback about toast. But from my experience, I used all three of them: toast POS, square POS, Clover. The only thing is that if you guys can work with Greg and also with the toast, if they can remove our reporting costs, because that is a recursive cost for us, that will save us 100 to $150 per month. And also if they can kind of give us a break on the setup cost, because they're not only charging us for the base machine, they're also setting kind of charging us for the handheld devices also, and also the software setup also they're charging. So there's a multiple charges. If you look at Joe, if you open that PDF that you shared with me, you see the different charges for setup, right? 3-4 places you see that setup cost. Please tell them, hey guys, collectively it is $3,000 literally. So can you guys work on that and also give us a break on the on the reporting. So for the reporting, Joe, I know that you are very tech savvy. It's easy for you. Trust me, you'll do it in a GIF. It's a self, you can, if they really give a hardball, you can kind of download the reports monthly, weekly, quarterly, by category. This is a very super toast, has those features. Square also has a similar features, but not as comprehensive as toast. But Clover has it, but Clover is, both between the toast and Clover, there's a little bit of a cost difference, the $15 here and there. So that we discussed, and also the licensing. And the licensing, certainly, Joe, I think we are January 1st will be we're cutting thin. So please do whatever you can to work with LLP agency and architect and whatnot, because you will get some surprise hiccups when the inspector steps in. They're not user friendly. Trust me on that. We don't know where even sometimes they complain about a small bulb. Trust me on that. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Those are the two things that we discussed today. Joe, thank you so much for all your the information that you shared with us. Albert, thank you for your inputs as well. So anyone else has any additional suggestions, advices that you can share with Joe or to the board?
I was just thinking is if there's any way we could maybe go to LLP and ask them if there's a option to fast track it, even if it is a little bit additional expense, just to be able to prioritize the application process.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy
Joe.
to ask. I mean, I'm more than happy to ask. I mean, we've already, and that was part of it today, is when they said, yesterday they were saying, hey, you're going to need to do this, get this architect out, and we're like, well, do you have somebody that can be out here tomorrow, at 2 p.m. because we got to move. So, we'll certainly do that, wherever, whenever. So we will keep Robert and Megan are the two over there that we're working with. And obviously, if you have any questions too, happy to copy y'all in, directly on an email. They're very open and happy to communicate. So happy to copy in members of the committee so that you guys can ask questions as well. But yeah, we'll push and I'm if there's anything I'm good at, it's talking and being annoying. So I can do that, and I can hound and harass them.
That would be great, Joe. Thank you. Really, that's really
Thanks,
helpful.
Joe.
Yeah,
That's
Debbie,
the
go
only
ahead.
thing that I could think of, similar to getting an expedited, passport, instead of here's the standard fee, but here you can pay, $60 more and get it expedited. I don't know if, that was the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, see, the way it works is you can expedite the application, but the the challenges comes with the inspections because inspectors come at their own pace. They have the schedules, and the licensing process is kind of a tedious. They have these timelines. 14, they have to respond back like 14 days or 16 days. And trust me, some of the department they literally held on to the application until the 13th day or last day, and then they send us an email saying that, hey, we just opened and we discovered that you didn't really put a full stop after your name. So that's kind of annoying sometimes. But yeah, whatever that you guys can do as a Debbie requested, that would be great. Okay, Joe. Thank you so much.
Sure, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, guys, you all have a good weekend and have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you. Bye.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam and Debbie. It's good to have you guys down here.